This is a dynamic. This is the mechanism of blessing, tells us the Slonimer. ובלי זה אי אפשר להגיע לשום השגה רוחנית. And without the transmission from the priest, the master, to the receiver, there really is no spiritual attainment. Everything in life is in a flow. It's in a flow from one place, as it were, to another place, as it were. It's very clear in the physical universe that waters flows from a higher place to a lower place. Wind flows, right, from one region to another region. Water in the ocean flows. Currents will move from one side of the ocean to another side of the ocean, or from one side of a lake to another side of a lake. Even matter, even rocks flow. For instance, lava, when it comes out of a volcano. But then the flow is a principle that goes throughout all of life. Emotions flow, right? The outpour of emotions is a flow. It comes from the source, from a source, and goes towards wherever it's being expressed towards, right? So when I have an emotional sharing, so it flows from my heart out towards perhaps somebody or towards God, right? Thoughts flow. They flow through the mind like clouds in the sky, right? So the principle of flow is very central to blessing. And I think that is the core teaching here that the Slonimer offers us, that there is a flow from the heavens to the earth, right? Or there's a flow from God to us, or there's a flow from the angels to us, or perhaps there's a flow from a person who's highly developed and highly sensitized, say an intuitive, to somebody else who's less developed at any given time. Right? The flow of transmission, of teaching or blessing, specifically to our discussion. So that's a very important principle. The second principle that he will lay out for us is life. The purpose of life, of being on earth, is to be in the flow of bliss. Right? Follow your bliss. I think it was Joseph Campbell who coined that term, follow your bliss. And according to Kabbalah and the wisdom of the sages, we are here on earth. He calls it Lit'aneg be'oneg Elohi, right? But to be in the bliss of the delight, of the spiritual delight. That is the purpose of life, to be in that place of delight. We're here on earth to actually experience that. That is, you could say that's the spiritual aim. And then the third thing that he will share with us, and in a moment we're going to jump right into his own words. I just want to contextualize. As usual, I like to give the ending at the beginning. And the third thing that he's going to tell us is that the world is designed purposefully to have obstacles to that experience. And now you can see how blessing becomes a tool or a process that enables us to flow or to move from a place of constriction, of obstacle, to the place of getting past the obstacles and actually attaining the spiritual potential that life is actually designed for. So that was in a nutshell. Let's jump into the words of the Slonimer himself. כמו שבאופן פרטי צריכים למשפיע ומקבל בכל עניין בבריאה ובכל ענייני עבודת השם, כך בכללות ישראל. So he's saying, and this is, I'm jumping into the middle of his discourse. He talked about at length about the mashpia, the bestowing or the flow of the divine flow from above, from the higher realms to our realm, in that flow. And here he's gonna transition from just like there is a private level of flow for an individual. This is the experience of flow of inspiration, blessing, divine bliss, even inspiration, creative thoughts, whatever it is that flows through, perhaps towards, into, and through an individual. That also happens collectively. And this is exactly appropriate because it's in relation to Birkat HaKohanim, right? The priestly blessing that is in our parsha this week. So who's the Kohen? And let me go back to his words. כך בכללות ישראל עשה הקדוש ברוך הוא בחינת משפיע הוא אהרון הכהן. So Aaron the priest, Moses' brother, becomes the vehicle for that flow. שהיה אוהב שלום ורודף שלום, אוהב הבריות מקרבן לתורה. And here he's quoting Ethics of the Fathers, Pirkei Avot, where Aaron the priest is described as a person who loved peace, pursued peace, loved people, and brought people closer to their spirituality. וקדושתו של אהרון נובעת ממידת האהבה. And the holiness, the high level of Aaron, flows forth or comes forth from the quality of love, of his capacity to love. המקשרת בין המשפיע למקבלים. And it is love that creates the link between the bestowing of flow and the receiver of flow. And you see that this is talking about blessing, the giver of blessing and the receiver of blessing. That flow, that movement, that dynamic can only happen in the context of love, of a loving link between the giver and the receiver. וזהו עניין ברכת כהנים שנתן הקדוש ברוך הוא לישראל. And that is the essence of the priestly blessing that the Holy One gave to Israel, to the people of Israel. The priestly blessing is given as a method, as a vehicle, right? As a transmitter of a blessing from a higher realm to the entire people, to the people of Israel. להמשיך שפע הברכה על ידי המשפיע למקבלים. To draw the abundance of blessing from the mashpia, from the one who is offering the blessing, and in this case it is the high priest, to the receivers, and in this case this is the people of Israel. ולכן אומרים בברכה בברכה אשר קידשנו קדושתו של אהרון. And that is why when before, and this is the custom in the synagogue on special holidays and special occasions, that those who are Kohanim, those who are of the priestly lineage, basically people who are Kohens, or Khan or Kagan. I mean, there's different variations in Kohen. And those are people who come from the lineage, the family, or the dynasty, you may say, of Aaron the priest. Kohen means priest. And before they bless us in the synagogue, at those when that rite is being performed, they say a bracha beforehand, and the bracha says, Baruch atah Hashem Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'kedushato shel Aaron, who has sanctified us in the sanctity of Aaron. So why are we saying the bracha in that way? This is not the usual formula of the bracha. Usually the bracha says, Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu. That is the common bracha that most of us know. For instance, before we light Hanukkah candles, Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'adlik ner shel Hanukkah. But the bracha that the priests say before they offer the priestly blessing at the synagogue is a different one. Asher kitshanu b'kedushato shel Aaron, that sanctified us with the sanctity of Aaron. It's very peculiar here. Because the power to bless, the power of the priest, of the Kohanim to bless, derives from their ancestor Aaron, from the first high priest, from his holiness. The only way a priest can bless is by connecting to the love that a priest would have, a Kohen would have, for the people who are being blessed. שהיא מקשרת בין המשפיעים למקבלים, ועל ידם ממשיכים את השפע עליון לישראל. So you see that this is instructive for the Kohanim among us when they are asked in the synagogue to step up and to cover themselves with the talis and to hold their hands like that and to say the bracha. It's not enough just to recite the words and repeat after the chazan, the cantor or the rabbi, but they really have to put themselves in a place where they can find the love, the inherent love that they have for the people who are standing in front of them and receiving the blessing. Very, very crucial. ובמיוחד שייך עניין הברכה בעניינים הרוחניים שלמעלה מן הטבע. And this bracha, יברכך השם וישמרך, יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך, יישא השם פניו אליך וישם לך שלום. And the commentators find different levels of meaning. Some of it is as I said in the previous video about this, some of it is a plain blessing for abundance, for money, for prosperity. But some of it also is on the level of spiritual blessing. So he's commenting here that the place of love is especially important to be able to deliver the level of spiritual flow, spiritual abundance, as this bracha is being said. והנה תכלית ירידתו של יהודי לעולם שהגיע למדרגה הנשגבה של קרבה ודבקות בהשם יתברך. Why? He says, because remember, the purpose of a person's life, of being here on earth, ירידתו של יהודי לעולם, of a Jew here on earth, שהגיע למדרגה נשגבה, to attain the highest level of closeness and cleaving, attachment to the Holy One, blessed be. וכמו שכתוב בראש מסילת ישרים, as it is written in the book Mesilat Yesharim, the path of the just, שהתכלית שברא הקדוש ברוך הוא את האדם הוא כדי שיגיע להתענג על אדוני וליהנות מזיו שכינתו. Because we learn from Mesilat Yesharim that the purpose of the creation of the human being is for human being to delight, to be blissful with the divine, and to enjoy the shine of God's presence. This is so critical to remember. We're not just blessing because we wish a person to be well, or to be spiritual, or to be whole, or to be healthy, or whatever the blessing is. We bless a person because we want to wish them their birthright. You see, it's so important to approach blessing from a place of remembering that you can't really bless anybody because they're already blessed. They came to earth, they were born with the right, with the capacity, with the destiny to have the blessing. We're just wishing them to claim what they already earned. It's already theirs. It's a very deep take on the whole process of blessing, right? It's almost like a blessing is not a giving of anything. It's just a reminder of what's already yours. So critical and beautiful. ושמו השם יתברך לאדם בין דברים המרחיקים אותו ממנו יתברך, שכל מה שאדם עושה מענייני העולם, עם אכילה ושתייה, כל שאר עניינים גשמיים, מרחיקים הם אותו מהמטרה של להתענג על אדוני וליהנות מזיו שכינתו. And now he tells us, and at the same time, the world is designed that everything that we do in this world, if it's eating or drinking or any material involvement, distance us from our destiny to be at bliss with the Holy One and to enjoy God's presence and radiance. Perhaps you and I, if we were creating the world, we'd have created it completely differently. But the sages teach us that, here we are. This is, we're in life to learn a lesson, and the lesson comes with some effort, with some overcoming. וכל התורה והמצוות הם עזר וסיוע שנתן הקדוש ברוך הוא ליהודי שיוכל לעמוד כנגד כל הדברים המרחיקים. And in fact, the whole Torah and the whole spiritual system that comes from Torah, the mitzvot, the practices, it's all there to help us handle the challenge of those things in life that distance us from the divine pleasure that is our destiny. אך נוסף על כך, נתן הקדוש ברוך הוא ברוב רחמיו על ישראל את עניין ברכת כהנים. But in addition to this, he tells us, the Holy One gives us the priestly blessing. It's kind of like an extra measure. So we have the whole system of prayer, originally sacrifice, and the temple rites, but now it's prayer and contemplation and meditation and doing good deeds, doing ethical conduct. Conduct in the Torah spells out exactly the principles of how to do that and how to treat the poor person, how to treat a laborer, and how to treat the widow, and how to treat the orphan, and how leaders should lead, and it's a whole constitution, right? The Torah is the constitution of the Jewish civilization that's beginning in the desert of Sinai. And in addition to all these spiritual and ethical instructions, there is also the right of the priestly blessings, which draws the flow of bliss from the giver, the source, the divine giver, to the recipients, which are us. שבכל יום יהיה ליהודי ברכה של שפע עליון, איך להתקרב אל השם יתברך, להיות דבוק בשכינה. Such that a Jew, a practitioner, a spiritual person, can every day open that tap and have that flow. ודרך זה מצינו את עניין ההתקשרות לרב, שהם ידעו על פי החסידות בשגב המדרגה. And here he goes into a very interesting take about the role of the Rebbe in the Hasidic world. And this parallels the role of the guru or the spiritual master in any tradition, who is the blesser. Right? The spiritual master is the one who has an expertise of opening that flow and transmitting that blessing from higher realms, higher states of consciousness to the state of consciousness in which you and I, the receiver, are there to receive the blessing. כי כאמור, כל השפעת שפע עליון הוא דווקא על ידי משפיע ומקבל. Because there is no other way for divine flow to come down. וזה מקור הברכה בכל העניינים הצריכים לברכה. And this is how blessing in general works. This is the dynamic. This is the mechanism of blessing, tells us the Slonimer. ובלי זה אי אפשר להגיע לשום השגה רוחנית. And without the transmission from the priest, the master, to the receiver, there really is no spiritual attainment. והקשר בין המשפיע למקבל הוא על ידי אהבה. And the only link between the master, the blesser, to the receiver is through love. The custom of bringing a gift when you come to receive a blessing is, its essence is not to pay the master, but to create the link of flow, of relationship, of transaction, of spiritual transaction between the giver and the receiver. והדרך זה ציוותה התורה על מתנות כהונה. And that is why when we read the book of Leviticus is all about establishing the priesthood in the new religion in the desert, right? The Israelites are starting this whole new enterprise, which we call Judaism today. And it spells out what kind of gifts people bring to the priests. And the reason for that, he's teaching us, כי הנתינה מעוררת אהבה, because the giving invokes love. The giving invokes love. We know that intuitively. I give a gift to my beloved. I give the gift to my child. Father's Day is coming up. We fathers hopefully will receive gifts. It's an invocation of love. When I give a gift, I'm not paying the person, hopefully, but there's a love in me that I want to express that will trigger a love in you. The subtle and deep dynamic of gift giving, ומקשרת בין המשפיע למקבל, and that creates the link, that opens the flow of blessing between the bestower of blessing, the priest, and the receiver. Shezeh makor habracha. This is how blessing works. What a beautiful teaching. So with that, humbly, I'd like to bless you, all of us, that we may attain the wisdom, know how to invoke blessing in the master, the person who is there to transmit to us, the person who is ahead of us on the path of removing the distances or the obstacles between our heart, our consciousness, and the bliss, the goodness, the wellness, the fullness, the wholeness, the joy that is our birthright of being a human being. Amen. I'm Rabbi Reuben Modik with Makom Halev Community here in Nyack, New York, and with Hebrew Learning Circles. I want to wish you a Shabbat Shalom. May this day be a day of blessing, and may we, you and I, continue to grow in just that, just forming those relationships between the angels and the priests and the masters and the friends and the co-workers and the comrades of the spiritual path. That we know how to receive blessing and give blessing when it's our turn as well. Come back for more. Please like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Would love to read your comments below. Shabbat Shalom. Until next time.